Boardwalk School of Economics, the right choice.
All right, once again, greetings, family. I hope all is well. This is the Reverend Dr. Claude A. Sinclair, and this is part 2 of 2, the resurrection. We're going to talk about reparations, how to get it and how to keep it. All right, so basically we're talking about 20 principles to live up to, how to first fix your own financial life. How to fix your own financial life, right? 20 ways to get your reparations that are already flowing around us in society right now. George Floyd was murdered because of economics. He allegedly passed a fake $20 bill which caused the police to appear on the scene and end his life. The black community is complicit in his death because we spend outside our communities and don't create jobs which could save thousands if not millions of black lives. But that's only one aspect. We're being attacked on all fronts. And police kill 1,000 black people a year in police brutality. But millions of black babies are killed each year due to the medical industry and so forth. But we'll talk about that later. I'm going to go talk about vaccines later and how it's used to exterminate black children, and also how we engage in that activity. But today we're going to stick with finance, right? We should be marching about the destruction of the black mind because black minds matter. And the mind is the critical link that goes to everything. If we get our minds right, if we renew our minds, then a lot of things will fall into place. So we just need to start thinking right. This is the pastor of the Temple of Inner Peace and Prosperity. The temple is your body, and it should be at peace, and you should be able to have prosperity. So it's a process, right? Other possible topics for this same information. What are the top 20 moves to understand about wealth? What are the top 20 money rules of how to play the money game? The first one was what are the top 20 money moves to understand about wealth? What are the top 20 money rules to fix your financial life, getting you ready to receive reparations? So it's a process. All right, part 1 was the spiritual fix. We talked about our spiritual well-being, of the resurrection. And part 2 is the prosperity fix. How do we create prosperity? The first thing is to get rid of limited and outdated thinking. Just because you never heard of something doesn't make it unworthy of knowing. Some people say, I've never heard of that. Okay. Now you can say, I heard that before. How do we get our financial house in order, ready to receive reparations? The world is ever changing, and too many of us are stuck in the Stone Age, hustling for a living without direction because we are failing to evolve. How does a person know if their thinking is incorrect or outdated? Since most people become comfortable and indifferent to the circumstances of their life, no matter the income level. Change is a personal decision that you crave about, that you yearn about, enough so that you are willing to do something different in your life to bring about a different reality, especially if you're poor, oppressed, and living a miserable existence, living from paycheck to paycheck, thinking there is no way out. Change does not necessarily have to relate only to your finances. It could also be to your state of mind, which is the most important. You get your mind right, everything else will fall into place. Life is spiritual, and life is a business. So let's learn how we can minimize the trials and errors of life and get right to the point. The objective is to get as many people as you can to gather around to learn and study the principles of a debt-free existence. As a group, we will gain even more power and genius working and becoming competent together. And if you want to know more about me, just go to the website, powerthroughunity.org. Go to the Rites of Passage curriculum, tap it, and then it will take you to the education, my university in your home portal, and I have a biography there that'll take you through a journey of my life, a brief journey outline. Our entire existence has been boiled down to the money game. It is about managing debt and owning capital producing assets. In order to get there, you must first learn about time management, budgeting, goal setting, and financial management, as well as organizational skills, and learn the difference between an asset and a liability, and much more. There are, give or take, 150 million people considered poor in this country, of approximately 310 million people. If you subtract the children, the aged, and the infirmed, you will see that most adults in this country are poor, unemployed, and or living from paycheck to paycheck, with minority communities amounting to about half of that number. You may want to know what you can do right now to start on your journey to financial security. Listen to me. I got this. All I need is your obedient, energetic participation. You must be involved in the process. Involve your children, especially when they are young, beginning with your weekly family financial meetings on goal setting and budgeting. Start with your estate planning legacy calendar that you can download from the website. The website's powerthroughunity.org. Even if you are comfortable in life, you will still have to generate income, no matter how much money you currently have. It is your duty to help those around you to become profitable if they are willing to learn. Your biggest opportunity is helping yourself and others to overcome their own indifference, especially those less fortunate than you. Too many are addicted to poverty and are unwilling to put in the work necessary to pull themselves out of that misery. This brief outline will hopefully wake you up in order to look yourself in the mirror and ask, am I being indifferent to my own circumstances and or the circumstances of others? This is not being helpless. Stop being helpless. Get involved. Roll up your sleeves. Open up your mind and get to work. This is the opportunity for the house Negro to pull up the field Negro. Drop the negative attitudes and the friction which has developed between the two groups, just like the Crips and the Bloods, as well as the Baptists, Methodists, Churches of God in Christ, and so forth. It's time for our artificial divisions to stop. Let us start being a good example for our children and stop the gangbanging. When it comes to the house Negro and the field Negro, it's more than an artificial difference because those are the ones that were let out of slavery with nothing. And a lot of them are struggling today. You can see the generational curses in their families, and they just cannot find their way out. And it's affected the rest of our communities because we are being indifferent. And we don't want to work together. We don't want to put the unity together. And there's a division that has developed all through our community and our society. So let's start being a good example for our children and stop gangbanging. You will need to challenge yourself because we should not be stagnant beings, but capable of evolving in order to become our best selves. Just be patient and willing to help yourself through study and hard work, no matter where you are in life. The only thing that matters right now is your willingness to be open-minded and being able to learn and grow. This program should be considered metaphorically as pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. This is the boots and the bootstraps and the shoelaces, but you have to do the work. As you can see, there is action required on your part. We talked about faith and spiritual fitness. Now it's time to put the other tire on the bicycle and go to work. I'm going to discuss with you 20 strategic principles that are covered in detail in my course. But this is a brief overview designed to till the soul of your mind in order to get you jump-started on your way to not only increasing your income stream, but teaching how you can use this information to get out of debt and begin to create wealth. The first thing to understand is the concept of how money works and what you need to learn to begin making progress. If you already got it going on, you will learn how to properly manage the income you do have in order to preserve and accelerate your progress as well. While you study and learn how money is created and how to manage money, you must be committed to learning about money in a calm, peaceful, and consistent way, especially when you don't have the money you think you need at this moment. Once you stop panicking and set time aside for study, this is the best time to learn, because when people have money, they have a tendency of thinking they know everything and there is nothing more they can learn. The process is even more difficult if you are in your primal nature. That is why there is so much poverty, because it is difficult for you to understand past spending your dollar on things you want right now while not worrying about tomorrow. In the midst of this coronavirus, for example, this caught a lot of people by surprise. If your economic house was not in order, you are suffering right now. It's time to wake up and understand that this money game of life can be played differently when you recognize that it is a team sport. Let me explain to you that you don't have to be angry and hungry as a way of life if you take this opportunity seriously. I want to develop a society where you don't have to think. Your only solution is to rob, kill, and destroy others in order to survive. Life is all about the preparation, what you know and how you put that knowledge to work. You can do the same thing over and over and expect different results, which they call insanity. Or you can incorporate this information to your daily routine to create a different future for yourself. You will be in a position to build wealth, doing what you are currently doing. And if you have a job and like working for others, this is great because you can use this economic system combined with whatever you're doing to make even more money, to be more valuable to your employer, if that's how you're situated. Because some people say they don't want to be an entrepreneur because they like having a guaranteed paycheck every week. But as you can see, in the midst of this pandemic, that no paycheck is ever secure, and our way of life is forever changed. This is the best time to evolve because a limited outlook is destructive to your long-term financial well-being and overall survival. Besides, there is no ownership interest in a job, and your children cannot inherit it. Life is a business, and whether you are good at business or poor at business is up to you. There is nothing wrong with working for a paycheck, but the problem lies in your inability to look beyond the job and knowing no other way of survival and depending on others to feed you. This leads to a consistent state of unnecessary anxiety. The problem is that people only focus on making money while not knowing what to do with the money when they make it, except spend it. You should always think about how you will sustain yourself if the job you rely on disappears. While you have a job, you must learn how to manage your money and save in order to invest in your future self. The 75-25 rule. This behavior leads to people saying what they used to have. Have you heard people say that? I used to have this and I used to have that. Most people just buy things and don't understand the implications of living in the moment, not getting an education, not creating an emergency fund and a savings account or investing, which can lead to starting a legitimate business that passes the test of time. Then, even if they manage to make it happen, they don't train their children to prosper in ways other than allowing them to sell drugs or telling them to go to school, get a job, and have good credit. This scenario would be okay if parties knew how to manage their financial affairs and learn the art of passing wealth to the next generation and the next. However, failure to have a life strategy is standard procedure, which keeps the people in bondage because it is the policy of the rich to keep wages suppressed and making sure our youth do not have jobs or opportunities other than those that involve the street hustle. Most people live a life of trial and error, but I'm going to teach you how to lay the proper foundation for life while you grow financially in the creation, accumulation, and preservation of wealth. Most people in their mind talk about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of making anything happen in their life while investing in the stock market, the lottery, or the rule of 72, which is now defunct. They talk about risk tolerance and portfolio diversification and so forth. These techniques have their place depending on the circumstances. I have a completely different approach, which is far superior to these principles, which makes others wealthy and leaves you disappointed. So let's talk about making that first million in 5 years or less, changing the game before the next president gets out of office. As an attorney and entrepreneur for over 34 years, 2 wives, 3 children, helping to raise other people's children and sometimes other adults, I have spent my career helping others to manage their finances, businesses, and helping people to get out of legal trouble. They never should have been involved in the first place if they had consulted with an attorney, not a paralegal or their Uncle Lou. I know the mistakes people make, and without this knowledge, you would never develop properly because, believe it or not, Common sense is not that common when it comes to estate planning, business, and the law. I created this curriculum